This is Steve with Pro Tools PC, and on this video I wanted to talk about changing tempos with the tempo ruler. A question I get from customers off and on is how to change the tempo, in the sense that they want to drop a loop into a session and maybe have it conform to the session tempo, or they just want to change the loop speed during playback. They're working with VIs and they want to speed up and slow down the parts during playback, things like that. So the first thing we need to make sure of is that the grid lines are turned on and we are working in bars and beats, not minutes and seconds or any of the other options. Then we need to make sure our view is in grid. There's two types, relative and absolute. Want to be sure we are in absolute, which is blue. From there, we just want to make sure our ruler here is set up. We want to be sure we have bars and beats set up here, our tempo. So what we can do here is if you hit this drop down, you kind of have control of what's shown and what is not shown. So what you might do to make things easier is you can go and get rid of some views that you don't want to be under here. So in this case, we can get rid of a couple settings and slim that down a little bit. So now we're focusing on bars and beats and our tempo. So when we hit our tempo drop down, this ruler here is representing the tempo of the session. So if we was to change this, this is going to be showing the tempo changes. So a couple things to look at here is first is our resolution setting. That is the value that the BPM is actually based on. So most of the time you're going to be working with the quarter notes. So that's the default setting and is typically where most people would leave that. Our density setting here, you could kind of think about it as the sample rate, in the sense of that within a given period of time, how many times that data is collected. And then in this case with tempo changes, it's not only being collected, it's also being manipulated in time, faster or slower. What we mean by that and what we can do with that is we can, if we want things to be smoother, obviously you would want all that sample data written closer together. So if we go to tighter time frames by, let's say a 30-second note here, let's try that. We can see that how many times the data is written within that given time frame. Now, if we switch to, say, half notes, it's going to be a lot further apart, a lot less smooth. And you can see it's on the grid at every half note. And then depending on our tempo, it may be even closer together and smoother if we come down here to, say, 50 milliseconds and write it in. So I've already showed one way. Obviously we can come up here and under your pencil tools, and we have a couple options because you have the line tool, which I kind of been using. You also have freehand, in which you can just draw tempos in. And something to make note of here is this blue line here represents the curve of the tempo. Now it's only going to be showing on the tempo that you just drew in, and the handles here on each end of it are adjustable. So you can come up here and change the curve of that tempo. Now you can do that at the end. You can also do that at the beginning. And if you wanted to, you can also change the start time or the end time of it. So here under your pencil tools, you have freehand, line tool, which I was using first, and then the parabolic and S-curve will also work. Everything else under here that works in a regular writing automation is not going to work. So the other option we have here, let's undo, is we can go to our trim tool here, and we could just grab everything and just move it up and down, or you can come in and select, make a selection, and move everything up and down within that selection. You can also, with that grabber tool, is you can come in here and now just make adjustments within areas of where the data is written. And you can also adjust the start and end times as well if you would like. So this is kind of the less precise, coarse way to go in and make changes to your tempo. I don't really work in this mode very much just because it is, it's just very coarse. It's not real precise. And usually if I'm making tempo changes, it's directly related to a song. I need things more exact, more detailed. Thank you for watching the video, and feel free to contact us with any questions or comments.